Live from Studio 6A, this is Today.
And a good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome. Craig Melvin here alongside Dylan Dreyer, Sheinelle Jones, Jenna Hager, and their friend Keir Simmons as well. And this morning, we start with the very latest from Southern California, the community of Thousand Oaks, heartbroken and stunned, devastated by that mass shooting at a popular bar. We are hearing some remarkable stories of heroism this morning. We're also learning more about the lives lost. Natalie Morales has the very latest from California.
Amazing grace. A Southern California community shattered.
No, the healing takes time.
These are some of the faces of those who lost their lives Wednesday night, victims of yet another mass shooting in America.
All of my friends were there. As of right now, I only know that two that passed away.
Jason Kaufman learned Thursday morning that his 22-year-old son, Cody, was killed.
My firstborn son. Oh, son, I love you so much.
Elena Housley was only 18 and had just started her freshman year at Pepperdine University. Her parents describe her as kind, smart, beautiful, and respectful. 23-year-old Justin Meek was at borderline with his sister. Friends say he saved her life and several others before he was shot and killed. Sean Adler was also a hero. The 48-year-old was working at borderline, and family members say he tried to disarm the gunman before he was shot. He leaves behind a wife and two sons. Authorities say it could have been worse. When first responder Sergeant Ron Heelis got the call, he ran into the bar to end the bloodshed.
You can't describe it as anything other than totally heroic.
Unbelievably, at least 3 people inside Borderline were also at that country music festival in Las Vegas last October, the worst mass shooting in U.S. history.
That's a phone call that no parent should ever have to get, let alone twice.
Danielle Merrill also survived both shootings.
I heard the first 2 rounds and I was out.
You know those exits?
Yeah.
Do you think that's why you survived?
Yeah. Definitely. Unfortunately, Root prepared me for things like this.
Tel Orfano survived the Vegas shooting too, but he couldn't escape the deadly hail of bullets here. His distraught father blames the shooter's rampage on gun culture in America.
I'm not going to vilify this kid because he's got parents that are... He's got parents that are grieving too, and I feel sorry for them as well.
So many lives forever changed, 12 innocent souls taken too soon.
I made it out perfectly fine. But for those that didn't, I just it really breaks my heart.
So many heartbroken.
There are so many emotions when it comes to a story like this. I was talking with one of my colleagues earlier this morning. It's one of those things where we all acknowledge that we're fatigued, we're sad, but that doesn't mean you can't talk about it. You have to talk about it, right? And
then how selfish of us to feel fatigued.
Absolutely. And then as a journalist, there are different parts of me, right? So there are the news aspects. This happened, this happened, this happened. And then if you just pull back, a lot of people have been talking about this, the collective anxiety. And we all have, we have kids and we have friends and family and neighbors. And everybody is talking about how it's just, when is enough enough?
Well, it's past that. Enough is already enough.
But we keep saying it. It's just, I don't even know where to start when we talk about something like this. We go through, and then once we start to hear about the victims and their lives and their hopes and dreams, it's brutal.
And imagine we're all parents.
Yeah.
Do you talk about it with your kids?
No, I haven't talked about it, although I received an email the other day that Poppy, who's in pre-K, had an emergency drill at her school. And I just thought, what is the world that we're living in when my preschooler is doing, and they need to. I mean, it's a real risk. And I think the problem is everybody's tired of the conversations. It's time to act. And I read something where one of the dads said, let's get to work. Let's stop the conversations and let's get to work. And I think that's the frustration.
How do you, I don't have to have this conversation with my children.
Because it doesn't,
doesn't happen.
How do you, I don't even know, how do you start the conversation with your child?
I am curious, what do you think when you hear this news coming out of the United States again? What is the mindset? Do you guys even discuss it?
It gets talked about a lot around the world.
Really? And what's the thought?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people have mixed views. I want to say one thing, you know, and we don't know, you know, enough about this or this guy, but just in terms of, you know, just in terms of a teaching moment, maybe is we have to do more for veterans. We have to do more. You know, it's not enough. We send these people into war, and we don't help enough after they're back, and that's true where I come from. That's true here. You know, we just cannot forget about people after we've put them in war.
The shooter in this case is a 28-year-old, by the way, former Marine. He did a tour of duty in Afghanistan, and we know that the police were called to his home earlier this year in April, and there were some concerns expressed then by authorities that he might be dealing with PTSD.
But beyond that, we need to do more about mental health for everybody in this country.
And how many times have we talked about that, Jenna?
We've had that conversation over and over again. I think that's the problem, is that the conversation keeps happening, but so do the shootings. So it's not working. It's it's like if you told your child over and over again, don't do something, and they continue to do it, it's not working.
Right. You have to find another way. Like, talking about it can only go so far. It's not working.
And at the same time, it affects all of us. That's what I'm saying. It affects our psyche, our sanity, our conversation, you know, it's just, as a country, we just have to figure this out.
You know, just one positive note, though, we are actually talking more about our mental health. I mean, listen, the royals are talking about it. That's true. I mean, if British royals can talk about how they're feeling.
Fair enough here.
Let's talk about the other big story today. Michelle Obama's book. It's coming out on Tuesday, and it's called Becoming. And in this book, she made some news this morning, some excerpts that were obtained by the Washington Post and the Associated Press. She spends some time talking about IVF. She spends some time talking about miscarriages as well, something that millions of women watching and listening have dealt with. And she said that she experienced miscarriage 20 years ago, saying she felt lost and alone afterward. Ultimately, also saying that she used in vitro fertilization to conceive Sasha and Malia as well.
Kudos to her for talking about it. I think sometimes there are a lot of these topics that for years have been not taboo, but just not something we talk about publicly. But I think it takes the sting out of it. Look, you know, women around the country have issues sometimes, and it's one of those things where kudos to her for talking about her experience. I think it can be healing to someone sitting at home who doesn't have anyone to talk to, or they may feel isolated. So that's what I have to say about that.
I come from a long line of women who have had a hard time getting pregnant. My parents actually put in for adoption. Today's World Adoption Day, by the way. Put in for adoption, and the day they found out they were accepted as adoptive parents was the day they found out they were pregnant.
How about that?
And I've experienced, you know, the pain that comes with it. It's painful. But also, I know Mrs. Obama. I know her girls. She is a dedicated, beautiful mother. She's always put her girls first. And so it shows that all of us that are going through it, and I know a lot of people are, have this side. And families come in so many different ways, you know, with adoption, and there's all these options.
And there is so much more conversation about IVF. It's not as foreign as it used to be years ago. And, you know, I don't know if it's all because we're just starting families later in life. It just seems lately, but it's okay because I have other friends and I know so many people who have done it. So it makes it more tangible. You know, it's not just some foreign concept.
And also just even having these conversations, you know, so many people that can feel alone, and dads too, we should say, but they can feel alone, can feel like it's never happening for them.
I think for dads, it can just be the sense of helplessness.
Bingo. Right. By the way, in addition to that in the book, my favorite part of the book is when Michelle Obama talks about her husband, Barack.
What does she say?
And she says, upon meeting him, she was impressed by his, quote, rich, even sexy baritone, and by his strange, stirring combination of serenity and power. Then she goes on to talk about the first kiss.
Ooh, Craig!
Again, according to excerpts, the first kiss.
It set off
a quote, toppling blast of lust, gratitude, fulfillment, and wonder.
Wow. What? Wow.
Not a book you can read.
I wouldn't say that was what my first kiss was. I liked my husband a lot, but dang.
What was the phrase? Serenity and power?
Serenity and power.
That's a combo.